Hi grade 9s, today I'm going to do a video about geometry, but this time instead of talking about parallel lines and transversals, we're going to talk about triangles. So I'm going to show you a picture of three sorts of triangles that you might encounter. The triangle we're going to talk about is an isosceles triangle. And an isosceles triangle is a triangle where two sides are the same. That's what these two lines indicate right here, that those two sides are the same. And the interesting thing about an isosceles triangle is that if those two sides are the same, then the angles that are directly underneath them are also the same. So for example, if this right here was 55, then this angle right here is also 55. If I were to draw my triangle on its side, like this, and I had an isosceles triangle again, the two angles that are the same are not these two. It's the two angles that are underneath the equal sides. So I need to turn my cell phone around. Here are the two sides that are equal. That means that these two angles right here would be equal. So for example, if this was 48, then this over here is also 48. So that's the first sort of triangle we're talking about, isosceles. The second triangle that we're going to look at is the equilateral triangle. And the equilateral triangle has three sides that are the same. And if all three sides are equal, then all the angles are equal as well. So this angle, and this angle are all equal. Now, we haven't talked about this before, but when you have a triangle, all the angles in the triangle, this one, and this one, all add up to 180 degrees. They have to sum or add to 180 degrees. So we need to think of a number that when you add it to itself 3 times, so for example, 30 plus 30 plus 30, because all of these angles are the same. Do 30 plus 30 plus 30 equal 180? No, so it can't be 30. How about 50? 50 plus 50 plus 50? No, that doesn't give you 180 either. It must be 60 plus 60 plus 60. Each of these angles are 60 degrees, and that's always true in an equilateral triangle. And the last triangle that we're going to look at is called a scalene triangle. And a scalene triangle is just a triangle where all the sides are different sizes and all the angles are different sizes. So the only thing we know about this triangle is that all the angles are different, but all the angles need to add up to 180 degrees. That's the magic number for a triangle. So we know that x plus 86 degrees plus 35 degrees has to add up to 180 degrees. So what number plus, okay, so 86 and 35, when I put those together, 80, 90, 100, 110, 121, I believe. 121 degrees is equal to 180. When I combine those two, I get 121. So what number plus 121 is going to give you 180? Well, I can balance my equations. I can subtract 121, subtract 121. So it means my x is going to be equal to 59 degrees. This angle right here is 59 degrees. So today we've learned 3 sorts of triangles. We've learned isosceles, where 2 angles are the same and 2 sides are the same. We've learned equilateral, where all the sides and all the angles are the same, and each angle is 60, because 60 plus 60 plus 60 is equal to 180. And the last sort of triangle we learned about is a scalene triangle. So what we're going to do now is we are going to try a few problems that are a little bit more challenging, that maybe combine some of the rules that we've learned before. So let's first talk about problem A. Problem A says you have a triangle where all the sides are 8 centimeters. So 8 centimeters, 8 centimeters, 8 centimeters. All the sides are the same. You need to decide, is that an isosceles triangle? Is that an equilateral triangle? Or is that a scalene triangle? Well, since all the sides are equal, it must be an equilateral triangle. And we know if we have an equilateral triangle and all the sides are the same, if it's 8 centimeters, 8 centimeters, 8 centimeters, then the only possible answer for the angles is 60 degrees. Each of those angles in A must be 60 degrees. Now let's look at B. B says that you have a triangle where two sides are the same. That means it's an isosceles triangle. So let's draw the question from the worksheet. It says that two sides are the same. And the one thing it tells you is that the angle at the top is 34. And we know that this and this are the same. So let's call them x. So we know that x plus another x, so the same number, plus 34 have to add up to 180 degrees. These two numbers are the same at the bottom, plus the 34 is equal to 180. You could certainly use trial and error. You could try 50 plus 34 is equal to 180. That doesn't work. 60 plus 60 plus 34 is equal to 180. That doesn't work either. 70 plus 34 is equal to 180. That doesn't work, but we're getting closer. But instead of doing trial and error, let's do it a more algebraic way. So right now I've got an x here, I've got an x here, so all together I have two x's, and I have 34 at the top. Those two x's in the bottom and the 34 at the top add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so let's balance our equation. Let's get our x all by itself so we can find out what it's equal to. Let's go minus 34, 180 minus 34 is 146 degrees. Here these cancel out, and here I have two x's. So two of the x's add up to 146. So if I want to know how much just one x is, it's going to be 146 divided by 2, which gives me 146 divided by 2 gives me 73 degrees. If you don't like algebra, you could have done this problem just by guessing. We knew that 70 plus 70 plus 34, 70 plus 70 is 140, 140 plus 34 is 174. 174 is pretty close to 180. So then we could have tried 71 plus 34, 72 plus 34. We could have kept going until we got the right answer. So that's another option for that question, which is totally okay with me. And lastly, we have C. Now C, it's hard to see what sort of triangle that is because I only see 38 degrees. But really, there's another angle in that question that we should be able to notice. This square right here means that this right here is 90 degrees. These two angles are different. And there's no sign like this or no signs like this. So that suggests that this is going to be a scalene triangle. So all we know about scalene triangles is like every triangle, they add up the angles to 180. So 38 degrees plus 90 plus the x that we don't know adds up to 180 degrees. So 38 plus 90 plus what number is going to give you 180? You can just try, you can guess different numbers until you get 180, or you can do algebra. 90 plus 38 gives you 128 degrees plus what number gives you 180? Well, we can balance our equation to get the x by itself. Minus 128 minus 128. X is going to be equal to 42 or 52. My mental math is failing me. 42. 42. No, that's not possible. It must be 52. Sorry. It's early in the morning. Okay, so x is equal to 52. So we've done 3 basic examples. Now we want to make them just a little harder and see what happens when we mix all the rules together. The most important rule that you need to remember about triangles is that when you add the inside angles, they add up to 180 degrees. So all the inside angles in a triangle, sum them up, add them up, they give you 180. A lot of students in this question would be tempted to say that 55 plus 135 plus y have to add up to 180. But that's not going to work, because is the 135 inside the triangle? No, it's outside the triangle. So we need to learn about the x that's inside the triangle. So what we're going to do is, any chance we have, we are going to draw a protractor when you have 2 angles that are next to each other. If possible, we're going to draw a protractor. So here I am. I'm drawing my protractor. And when I draw my protractor, I can tell that those 2 angles together, these 2 angles that are centered around that point, add up to 180. So 135 plus x adds up to 180. That means that x is equal to 180 minus 135. That means, let's hope my mental math me better this time, x is 45 degrees. Okay, now we can forget about the 135 and just focus on the 45 and the 55 that are inside the triangle. 55's inside, 45's inside, and y is also inside. So those 3 angles on the inside must add up to 180, because that's the rule about triangles. 45 plus 55 plus y is equal to 180. 45 plus 55 gives you 100, plus y is equal to 180. We're going to balance my equation, subtract 100, they cancel, subtract 100. Y is equal to 80 degrees. Okay, so we know 135, we know 45 next to it makes a protractor. And that's why it's 45. We know 55, we know the y. Now we need to know the z. So we're going to do one last protractor. And we know that those 2 together, the 55 and the z, add up to 180 degrees. So my z is 180 degrees minus 55 degrees, which is going to give me 125 degrees. So often, when you have a problem, you're going to have to combine all the things we've learned so far this unit, not just one rule at a time, but this time we use triangles and we use the protractor. I'm going to leave you with one last question to try on your own. And this question is the most difficult one we've done so far, because it really does combine everything we've learned. So I'm going to switch my camera around and we're going to look at a few rules that you're going to need to use to answer this question. In this one question, you're going to have to draw protractors when you've got 2 angles next to each other. You're going to have opposite angles, and opposite angles are equal. You're going to have a 90-degree sign so that the angles are complementary. They add up to 90. And we have a triangle, and inside a triangle, the angles add up to 180. You're going to have to use all these rules to solve the next question. I would love for you to try it. Email it to me, send it by Instagram, send it by WhatsApp, and I will check it. Have a great day on grade 9s.